funny was that as well? Last week when it gave you basketball playing dwarfs afterwards.
Oh, mate.
You're like, wait a minute, how has this come up on my thing? I was so impressed as well. Literally wanted to take back everything I said. Maybe these dudes should be in the NBA. They're amazing.
He's actually doing stuff.
They are
Like,
legit.
You start like, getting the logics into it. Like, wait, he's too small for him to swat the ball away. Like, maybe this is.
Yeah, literally, because you can't. You're like, oh, my back.
Yeah. Right, I'm just.
But yeah, I was going to say, what were we talking about before that? So last week, just while
Oh,
you're writing, so I'll do a little summary.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
last week we were talking about what makes a good man a good man.
Yeah.
And then we ended off with, does a good man have the vision? Because we were talking about the 4 quadrants of the pyramid,
Yep.
4-sided pyramid. So we have, if I remember correctly, the king, opposite the king is the magician.
Yep.
And then we have the lover, opposite the lover is the warrior.
Yep.
And then this is literally what I was just saying before I put the
Yeah,
camera.
just a
The
second
idea of having the inner child within you that's still there.
Yes.
And then you said you still have the teenager as well, and you can still feel all the kind of
Yeah.
parts of you.
Depending on where I am and how I'm feeling, I will either be right now 35-year-old Shaman.
Yeah.
And
Like dad you, grown up you, coach
Dad
you.
me, kind of got everything is fine, and then as it goes back, and then you have certain triggers. Do you know what I mean? Certain
Do you
triggers
say
that
you
take
still
certain
feel
places.
like teenage you inside as well? In what sense do you still feel like that?
So for me, it's the childlike joy.
Ah, the
enjoyment
innocence.
for life, yeah, the animation for life, the innocence, the
I
ability
definitely
to have
lost
a
that in
play
my
and
teen
fun.
years. I wasn't innocent in my teen years, not at all.
To play and have that fun, that comes from the 9-year-old me. That's the 9-year-old version of me, or the 6-year-old version of me that wants to play around and jump around with Power Rangers weapons. And
So do you still feel like a 16, 17, 18-year-old side of you as well?
in my head, I just feel like an 18-year-old that's been around for a long time. Okay. That's how I feel in my head. Like I don't feel
experienced 18-year-old.
Yeah, like an experienced 18-year-old.
So yeah, because that's the thing. So to me, it's I either feel like a child who's reacting, in like frustration and anger is my biggest thing.
Yeah.
Even earlier on today, I was just like annoyed, looking for a fight, kind of. Actually, maybe that's teenage me. Maybe that's teenage me. But I was more fighty when I was a kid. Yeah. I remember I don't think I've told you this story. So in primary school, right? Yeah. This is a terrible lesson to teach a kid as well. So I don't remember any of the fights, but there must have been a bunch. Okay. Yeah. So I was about 5, let's say.
Okay. Yeah.
So in primary school, I was about 5. I don't remember any of the actual fights themselves, but there must have been a bunch because. Yeah. This is the bit I remember. I got brought up in assembly in front of the whole school. Okay, I got a round of applause. I got a sticker, and I got what you would call blessings for not fighting for a whole week.
Oh wow!
Right, so that tells I don't remember. That tells you it just must have been so not even second nature, just my nature to fight.
I just want to come once and say, "It's the reigning, defending, undisputed." Come on,
but it's literally the idea of like I only remember getting praise for not fighting for a week, and I remember that whole deal making them a bit, oh wow, yeah, he's not fought anyone for a week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, okay. So actually, when I think about that. That
coming out.
Oh, maybe that is kid me.
100%, and that's what happens. The psychological term for it is known as regression. It's essentially when you peel back the layers of who you are and you kind of retreat back down into your kind of. They're almost like your survival instincts or your most habituated way of being. Yeah. And it always seems to be a way that it benefited you the best as a child.
Yes, yeah.
Like, so if you regress into anger, there's probably a part of you that because having that anger generated helped you as a child. And I already know you, so I know in which ways anger and that
because that's the thing, because that's
your...
what I've said before, is like the Water Boy with Adam Sandler, I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
All the time that people take the piss out of him as his tackling fuel. And so when I was going, I still love Adam Sandler movies, and I used to watch them all the time on video cassette, and I just watch it again and again. So to me it's like, I have that Water Boy anger kind of, that's my tackling fuel.
That's a great example of regression. Waterboy is the perfect example because he takes himself back psychologically, because your body's still a body of a man, but he takes himself back psychologically, back to when he was 9, back to when he was 11, he was getting picked on.
He's still got those wounds.
And then the reaction is that of the man version of you fighting to protect the younger version of you. Okay. And I see this a lot in I see this a lot in my family with how these kind of things play out. It's very interesting to see in which ways people regress once the surface gets scratched. Do you know what I mean?
And then to what age they regress.
Yes.
And it's like, because that's the thing that was kind of seared in at that time, if you like.
Yeah.
Interesting. So for me then, as I say, being that I used to fight young, just regardless, and just I think that is just my natural instinct is to like get angry.
Yeah.
It is then, that is potentially still kid me, not teenage me, and that is the thing that comes out the most. So then as the adult, which I then go, come on, mate, like, don't do that. Don't, you know, don't. Like the kind of coaching myself down off the ledge. But that happens to me so often. So I would say that kid me still super fresh inside, super raw and exposed. Yeah. Whereas you seem like you've kind of sealed round it a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of like the progress of the process of individuation is making sure that you let go of not necessarily the negative aspects. Some of them are negative, but the rawer aspects that are more harsher to society and yourself. Letting those go,
like the tantrums.
And then
swinging punches.
And then and then developing the masculine parts of yourself in that place, rather than burning off the positive side of your boyhood.
So does that mean you don't feel it anymore, or does that just mean you have a better handle on it?
A better handle on it.
Okay, so actually, like I'm doing fine. The fact that I feel it isn't a problem because I don't act on it.
100%, okay, cool. And that's it, and that's kind of the part of the practicing process when it comes in that you got the defenses to stop that just flooding into your psyche, and then you kicking off and whacking someone and going into the brawl.
Because there's definitely that part of me that, like, I'm what it is, and you know what I'm like. This is the magician. See, this is what I've learned. I'm very magical. So I analyse all the things, and I get annoyed when basically anything isn't as it should be in my mind, right? So I think everyone should just do things properly, because properly how things are supposed to be done, right? When you're out and about in the world, there's general level of respect and etiquette, and you just sort of, to me, get the fuck out of the way if someone's, you know, just be aware that you're out in the world and there's other people around. And then I often forget that a majority of the population are just dumb. And I know it sounds really horrible, but they're not out to get you. They're not trying to be in your way or trying to fuck with your... It's nothing personal, man. But I notice I take things really personally in that way. Yeah. And it's like, well, I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm trying to do this thing. And it's just like, fucking move. And but I have it literally whenever I leave the house. It's so intense.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've got to brace yourself before you go out?
I can't go out in certain moods. Yeah. Because I know, like we said last week, I know that coach, adult, dad part of me isn't strong enough in that moment. Yeah,
to take care of
that rage. So the only way to do it is to literally just sort of lock the door and wait it out. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? When that sort of what you call the dark energies, whatever it floods over me or through me, in whatever it is, it's the best way around this is I can't tempt fate by saying, I reckon I've got this. No, you fucking haven't.
It's the worst thing to do. It's like going food shopping hungry.
Don't be naive. You know what I mean? Exactly that.
You see the chocolates and it's...
But even like today, you know, I was in a good mood this morning, this, that and the other night. I dropped you off. And just little things, man. I just get so annoyed by the little things.
You know, I caught a snippet of a red Yaris trying to pull into the lane. I don't know if you remember. Yeah. You're like, oh, like I seen it, like kind of come out, and then you brought yourself back straight away.
Mate, that happens hundreds of times a day. Yeah. And so that's for me. Like, if I leave the house, I'm so much more, triggered with stuff like that. But it's interesting, as I say, because obviously I talk to you and I'm like, okay, so in many ways people see me as being grown up, very kind of laid back, you know, like, the kind of guy who, would approach the situation calmly and this. Absolutely, people are great. But at the same time, I have that inside, that like you say, got the pyramid and then you've got the inside the pyramid and you've potentially got a few pyramids as you've grown. 100%. But this inside just feels still so burning hot to me.
I think it's quite a liberating thing knowing that no matter how well someone appears on the outside, they can't escape the potential for all these things to happen and to overcome them. So going back to your thing about the being aware of where people are messing up, it's a double-edged sword, perfectionism, isn't it? And I would put that in the magician quarter 100% because it's based all around awareness. If you can't see the subtle differences in things, you won't be able to appreciate them, and then you won't be able to put them in order of which one is better in your mind. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think then to achieve any level of mastery in anything, you need a very, very high level of magician?
Yeah. I think it's needed. The magician's the court of the genius and the prodigy.
Okay.
So the child prodigy, the mathematician, the high flyer as far as talent, the talented kids, those are the magicians. They're the ones who seem to just kind of get it. They understand it. When you was talking about the drum instructor teaching you how to do it, you understood the difference between this hand and this foot.
Yeah.
You understood the difference between this cadence and dum, the jim, dum, the jim. You know the difference between the two.
That makes that noise.
Hey, I'm freestyling here. No, I'm joking.
Well, is it the kalimba you just
the
got?
kalimba?
Oh,
yeah. I went and got myself one. You know what? It's just I wanted to play an instrument, but I wanted to play something I could carry around with me. I don't know what.
Harmonica?
Yeah, a harmonica.
Whistle?
I was thinking. Nah, kalimba. It's got there's lots of like melodic tunes that I quite like that have that kind of high note kind of resonation. So that's
plus you could be like one of one because no one plays that instrument.
No one's rocking a kalimba.
So, I don't know if you come into the social. Bring to the social. We'll see if we can create something. I'll bring some shakers, tambourines.
I was thinking of bringing it today, but I was like, no, let's not do that.
I tell you what, right here's the deal. Right, here's what you can do. You can practice it, and then I'll create like a little riff on keys, and then you can play it on the thing, and that will be the Shaman Show intro.
We'll do the collab.
There we go.
We'll do a kalimba collab.
So I had a question about. So obviously we talked about the magician, and the magician and the king are opposite. Right?
Yeah.
So the vision, which is what we went back to.
Yes,
so I said
yes,
at
the
the
vision.
end of the last thing, does a good man have vision? You said yes. So the vision is the king's quarters.
Yeah, the vision is the king's quarter. It's the king's idea of a just order in the world, in the cosmos. Sorry, the cosmos created. That's the ordered world, and it has to be in a just way. Meaning it's generative and beneficial to all people who are in there. If it's a tyranny, meaning I'm on the throne and everyone's chained up carrying bricks for me, that's not a just order. That's a tyranny. So it's not a generative cosmos essentially. And that's the cosmos means the known world, and the reason you have that vision is to fight against the external forces of chaos. So that's for me. That's how I see the vision. What am I going to go out and do in the world that generates something that's
okay? So the king has to have the idea of the bigger picture.
Yes.
What they want and what they don't want.
Yeah.
The kind of kingdom they want to create and curate, let's say.
Yeah, and it's always through the guise of kind of building. Like, how are we going to create this thing?
Okay.
Whether it's a piece of music, whether it's a piece of art, whether it's a business idea, do you know what I mean? It has to be a vision of how things are going to kind of be created.
Okay, so say you've got a really good vision. So your king's like really strong in its vision.
Yeah.
How does that actually become actioned, let's say? So you go, right, I want X, Y, and Z in my life. I want to live in this kind of house, this kind of general day-to-day being.
Yeah.
So therefore, this kind of a job would work for me.
Yeah.
I want to date these kind of people or want to hang around with these kind of people. I want to go on these kind of holidays. You've got an idea of how you want your life to be.
Yeah.
How does that come true, so to speak?
The king by himself can't do anything.
Okay.
So
he can just have the vision.
The king I put in the court of being and having the vision. If the king doesn't have a knighthood around him, a group of warriors to do the thing and execute.
So the warriors do the king's bidding.
Yes.
But the warriors without a vision can't do shit.
No, they're just mercenaries. A warrior without a king is a warrior without someone to lead them and guide them in the right path. In which case they'll become a brainless soldier,
just
where they just shoot to kill. Or mercenaries. You're a hired gun. You have the ability to commit the violence, but you don't have the vision in which you want to create.
So you're just a tool at that point, waiting.
Your soul is owned to the highest bidder.
Yeah,
that's how I see it. This guy's willing to pay more. Well, I don't have any actual vision.
So if you lack vision, you can still be really, really competent at your thing.
You can
but you lack vision. So you might not even spend much. Like, just say you're a mercenary, right? And so you're a hired gun. So you might not even spend much money anywhere you go, because you could even be going to like cheap places and you're always just bed hopping and trying to stay in places that are kind of out of the way. So you could build up quite a lot of money. You could have all because you've got no vision of actually how to put that down and out into the world. You're just gonna
You've got no real responsibilities. And you've got no transpersonal duty. Transpersonal means it's a duty to something that is outside of yourself. A transpersonal duty, and that will be to the king if you are a mature and developed warrior. What you do is not about you. It's not about your anger. It's not about your rage. It's not about that guy pissed me off, so I'm gonna cave his skull in. It's I would love to cave your skull in, but I've got a duty to follow. I've got a vision that the king has set for me, and I need to follow that. And that's what keeps a warrior on the right path.
Yeah, I think so. For me, my whole deal is don't start nothing, won't be nothing. Yeah, so I don't want to live in a world where people go around starting fights. But I'll quite happily live in a world where there is fighting.
Yeah,
I know it sounds stupid.
That's you being comfortable on the battlefield.
That's what I said to myself this morning. I was like, mate, you're having a good morning. Everyone's having the sun shining. Why would you start something?
Yeah.
I was like, because I'm fucking annoyed. Yeah. You know what it is, right? Some twat in a fucking Audi. Audi drivers, right? Right. The Tesco's car park's tiny.
Yeah.
And this twat parked across two things because he's just got a new Audi.
Just wider.
Right?
Yeah.
And you just think, I don't care that you've got a new car, and yeah, it might be a nice car.
Yeah.
Park properly so everyone can use the place.
Yeah.
Don't be a selfish prick. And that's what really got. And so I was like, I just want to, like, if I'd see him in there, and I'm like, what? You're going to go up to him and just go, who's the fucking cunt in the Audi? Yeah. I'm like, that is exactly what you would say, yeah.
That's the inner dialogue between maybe the 13-year-old you or the 9-year-old you and the
do you know what's funny? Because previously, I wouldn't have thought, what would I say if I saw the dude? I would have seen that and gone, I'm gonna find him. That would literally be it. I was going, I'm gonna find that twat. And I would have gone in to Tesco's and gone, who's that twat in the Audi you parked across to? And everyone in there going, what the fuck? Like, that's exactly what I would have done. Yeah. And so I guess I played the tape forward and gone, that's what you would have done. How would that have gone? And I would have gone pretty funny.
And who did you incorporate there?
How do you mean?
Which one of the quarters did you incorporate to stop you from doing the thing that you had the plan on doing, going in and screaming your head off? Who was it that you brought in? You just said the word play
the king.
Forward.
I guess. No,
you're going to play it
forward.
Oh,
in which case that's a magician.
Yes.
Okay, so the magician had the awareness to go, this is the situation as it stands, this is who you are, this is the situation you'd create if you walked into it.
Probably best not to do that.
Yeah, okay. So but the king's vision of I would like to live in a peaceful society then.
I've got something more valuable that I need to fight for.
Okay.
That's about my own personal problem. That's my ego's, my Shaman's personal problem with that dickhead there. It's part over two. But I've got a vision that's greater than myself. Okay. It's not about how I feel about this particular situation. There's something bigger over here that we've got planned. So I need to make sure that my duty is towards that thing.
Right. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So my magician had the awareness to keep my warrior in check because my king's got a good vision for the world in which I want to live.
Yeah.
Oh, nailed it.
You haven't actually nailed that.
So this is why I'm here. So the idea then, right, so this is what we're talking about in the car and we're having a really golden conversation. We should be talking about this on camera.
Maybe.
So the idea of a vision, right, so a lot of people nowadays, younger lads growing up, and this is kind of your demographic, shall we say, general sort of, let's say, juvenile into adulthood.
Yeah, 16 to 25.
Yeah, some adult males, let's say, aren't quite men yet and could do. And this is what I'm asking about myself as well. I feel like, hold on a minute, I'm 40, but I feel 14 sometimes. So the idea being that, vision, especially nowadays, it seems like everything's falling apart. Mm-hmm. Everything's moving at the speed of light. You can't keep up. Everyone, it's like, what the fuck is going on? So in this day and age, it's hard to A, have a vision, and then B, actually make that vision come true. And what we were then talking about is video games, and how that can be a proxy, or what would you like, a virtual something?
Yeah, like a simulation.
Simulation, that's the word. Yeah,
like a pseudo path, as it were. I do want to say about the vision thing, and especially about young men with visions. I think with social media specifically, like, any ideas that you have in your head, you go, this would be such a great idea. This is like, that's the seed being planted for your vision. You've got an idea, your imagination's going wild. You go, you know what? This would be awesome to create in the world. Then you go online, you type it in, and some cunt's already done it 50 times bigger, 50 times better, and it's way more polished, and it just completely sucks your ability to generate any type of vision, because it's already been done bigger and better by somebody else, and that just deflates, man. It just deflates and then it just flatlines them completely. And then you end up, retreating inwards.
So how do we overcome that?
And how do we... I would say that comparison is the thief of joy. It can also give joy, of course, but comparison is typically the thief of joy because very often we're always looking up. We're never really looking down at those behind us, beneath us. How many times are we, we're going on and scrolling and we're searching starving children in Africa, for example. How often do we go and go, you watch 2 hours of that, you'd be like, bloody hell, I'm glad I got food in the fridge, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, it's like, God,
or you just be so overwhelmed by the fact that you can't do anything about anything.
Man,
you're like, oh man, what's the point?
Yeah. That'll be a grassroots piece for some vision as well. That'll bring
So
that out.
the idea there that sort of stands out to me is really then we're not that complicated as creatures as far as what we want and that sort of thing. So a vision could just be, I'd like green grass outside.
It can literally be
I'd like a nice comfortable bed with some clean sheets and that kind of stuff. So the vision doesn't have to be some grand change the world vision.
No, it's one step at a time, and I think breadcrumbing your vision is definitely the best way to do it because if you you do want to have a big vision, that's okay, but your big vision might be cleaning your bedroom. That might be your vision, and that's a very real one for people. If, you know what I mean?
I think this is the thing, because we see online these huge things coming true for people, and we go, like, that's the vision. Yeah, not a version of a vision, their version of what they think, but that's the thing. It's kind of like, well, you must have this, and this to tick the box of life. I have succeeded.
Yeah.
And I think that's what stifles people because it's such a huge thing. They go, well, how can I get to there from here? I can't see any of the steps.
Yeah.
And so instead they retreat into video games and pseudo simulation type stuff.
The societal pressures become too much. It's like, well, if I put this much effort in, people still aren't going to give a crap anyway because Billy Big Bollocks over here drives a Bugatti and I've only got this. So even though all of my efforts and all my time put in, I'm still not even getting recognised for what I'm doing. So what's the point? And that's when you go inwards. And this is something that I fell into. I've struggled with my entire life. Always been a gamer, but it was online gaming specifically that really got me. And that was a place where I funneled all of my efforts, all of my warrior energy, grinding, doing this, questing, leveling.
So that was your warrior, more than your magician, you'd say?
Yes, there was a place that I could channel all of my energies.
Right.
And not be judged or pounded out or told them that's a load of
so
crap.
The king in that scenario, how was the king satiated? I can see it because for example, you're in a battlefield game, right? I love a good shoot 'em up and stuff like that. I used to love GoldenEye. I don't know if you played GoldenEye.
Oh yeah, and Night Fighter.
So I love that kind of thing. So absolutely, the idea of just going and head exploding. I love that shit. I think most guys on the planet love the idea of so warrior, absolutely, and then you played the kind of games where you were not a dungeon master, like not a grandmaster. What was it called?
So I became a guild master.
Guild master, that was it. Yeah.
World of Warcraft. I'm a super nerd, mate. I'm a super nerd. So where the king energy ended up coming in was because of my other attributes and me wanting to know everything about the game.
Yeah. Magician.
Wanting to know everything. And then being willing to put in the work and effort and hours.
Right. Because of the.
Doing it. And I loved the game, and I communicated with people and whatnot. I got to a position where, like, I kind of found myself kind of at the top of the heap.
So you wanted to play your game, versus their game.
It was just I just loved playing the game so much. I wanted to help people and stuff like that.
But that's playing your game. As in, I wanted to help people. That's playing the way you. So I'm saying that was your vision.
That's my vision.
Your vision is, I'm really good at this game now, so I'm going to help out these guys to create a kind of world that I want to kind of lead.
And that's when I created the guild, and so I was getting all of the energies and the what would you call it? Not satisfaction. That's not a freaking word.
I say you were satiated.
Yes, I was satiated with all of my achievements in the inner world, in that game, not realising that I was still in the starting area in the real world. Yeah. So I got all this gear, all these people, all this right.
And with wife and kids at this point as well.
With partner and kids,
Okay. So you're not married?
No.
Partner, because so many people now.
She's technicality.
Because it's the same, it's like, you've been with them for like 20, 30 years kind of thing. It's like, but we're not actually married. Yeah. Fair enough. 5 kids? No. So you got 3 kids, haven't you? 2 kids?
2, yeah.
Sweet, you had 3. Boy and a girl then?
Yeah.
Okay, boy's oldest. Girls
Girls
are
are
least.
least.
Do you know what? Trying to keep up with everyone, it's nuts.
It's hard,
and
it's
the other
hard.
reason is because I haven't met your kids. That's what
That's
it is.
probably
as well.
the reason,
I've
mate.
met some other kids and stuff.
We've always been like just flying by, haven't we? You know, it is what it is.
So yeah, in that sense as well. Then, so like now you're 35, you're thinking right, career-wise. You want to take the knowledge you've actually been polishing, working on, building on, that sort of thing, the vision that you had, and you actually want to take it to that next step in the real world.
100%. So what
by doing it online.
yeah. So I've been playing games, let's say, 20 years. Let's say I started at 15.
Okay.
And so when I'm playing these games, there was a part of me that was always consciously aware that there was transferable skills here. There's a quote that once you understand the way broadly, you can see it in all things. And so I love that quote.
What's the quote again? Say it slower.
Once you understand the way broadly, you can see it in all things.
Once you understand the way broadly, you can see it in all things.
Yeah. So if I develop a specific skill in this area, and I understand what the application for that is, I can take that out now, and I can move it over there. So I
really good word you used, application.
Application.
Because people say knowledge is power. That's bullshit. Anyone who says knowledge is power, punch me in the face.
I tried.
Maybe not. But it's the knowledge applied correctly.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. That's the difference. Yeah. And people often can't apply the shit they know.
Yeah. You're right. It's okay knowing it. So okay, you know it. Great.
So you were aware that. So your magician was so switched on that you're aware that while you were playing a video game, you weren't, let's say, accelerating in the real world, but you were accelerating potentially a real world skill that you chose to apply later, and you were aware of it at the time.
100%.
Was that an argument you used then to why you could gain more? You went, it's all right, mate, because you're building up real life skills. That smile says,
it might be a subconscious thing. It might be a subconscious thing.
Because I have things with myself. I'll kind of use it as an argument, and sometimes I go, is that a legit argument? Or do you just use that to get out?
I've never thought about it until you've just brought it up. I'm thinking in my head, wait a second, did I do that so I could get away with the long game session? I'm character building. Don't worry, babe, I'm character building.
And don't get me wrong, like most jokes, or like jokes, they say like there is an element, a seed of truth in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But the question is like, how much? You know what I mean? Like, yes, you are building up skills, but really, is this the best use of your time right now?
Hey, I was 100% an addict. If you're talking about the shadow
so that's
lover.
the lover.
Yes.
The lover.
If you've got... The lover energy is responsible for appreciation, connection, humanity, gratitude, really valuing things and seeing the beauty in things. But if that goes too far...
So that's the shadow lover.
That's
the dark side.
Like
the tyranny for the king and that kind of stuff. And you will have perfectionism for the magician.
You will have the addict, and that's the addict who basically will sacrifice anything and anything to get
the hit.
Its own selfish love for that thing, or lust for that thing. I guess lust is kind of a version of like the shadow lover. It's a type of love that kind of takes over you, and it's single-minded in that it wants what it wants for you. It's not, hey, I'm lusting after you so we can have a good time all together as a group. It's, I'm lusting after you because I want that.
I want a good time. If you so happen to have a good time too, fine. But it's not. You're not in.
It'd be great if you could have a good time too, and I'm going to try my best. But I'm here for this thing. That's lust.
See, it's funny. Do you know what? So years ago, right, I always had this rule, the rule of two. So for every one orgasm I had, the girl had to have two. I'll tell you why. I don't be a selfish lover, boys. Because if you ever want sex, they know they're going to have a good time.
That makes sense.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, fucking hell, just let him get it over with. It's like, oh, great, I'm going to get 2 orgasms if he gets to come.
That's a great shout, because like that takes away from the selfish lover.
Yeah, man, don't be selfish.
You know what I mean?
Do you know? And the way I used to do it is like, right, before I've even done anything, like make them come, right? Because that's a really good way. Just get them all wet, get them all ready, get them all prepared and stuff like that, right? So like, just to take the pressure off of you, then later on, you might be having a bit of a bad day, but if you just
come out the gates,
get the job done, you know what I'm saying?
Out the gates.
So you warm them up, you get the job done. But do you know the way to start sex? They say the way to start sex on Saturday is on Tuesday. You know what I mean? It really is. You've got to warm up the engine gently.
Yes.
So again, it's like, you know, I'm just generally a really horny guy, so I would always be like laying the seeds and you know what I mean? Like, all
that's a smart thing.
But it is. It's like, yeah, man, look, if you're going to have some sex, make sure the other person has a great fucking time.
Yes.
Because then whenever you come back and you want to play, they are eager and ready to play.
That's a really good shout.
So it's just a side note.
Like that makes sense, and that's an example of a selfish love versus someone who's trying to make it reciprocal, because there are people out there who just don't give a fuck. I don't care what's happening for you. I'm here for me and my urges and needs. That's the lust. it forgets about everybody else.
But
you know what I mean?
this is,
And that happens in
I'm
all
the same when I
realms.
play football, right? When I play football, I realise I'm just one of the 16 guys on the pitch. I think there are a few, not all, but there are a few guys who think they are the only player on the
They're
pitch.
the only
Like, once
guy.
they've got the ball, they do not pass the ball.
Yeah.
They do not. You know, and it's all about like it's their highlight reel. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like Sunday night highlight. You know, watch me go.
Yeah, you made me think of something. So I worked in a school for a few years, and the schools were cut into 4 quarters, 4 houses, much like Harry Potter. Oh, we'll get into Harry Potter.
Oh
in 4
yeah. See,
quarters,
I
'cause
again
there's a
don't know
crossover.
anything about it.
But there were 4 quarters, and there's one lad from Hippogriff, and I remember his face. I can see his face right now, and he's a big burly lad. He's quite boisterous. He was one of the lads that was kind of under my mentoring, and it was 20 aside. I think it was 20 kids on each side, like a classroom full.
Oh, because
on
it's
each
like
side.
football.
Oh, tug of
That,
war.
that's
It took a war.
Ah.
House versus house. It was
Yeah,
going off.
yeah.
And his team ended up losing. And upon losing, everyone else was like, okay, that's it. He was like, nah, I can't believe this. You know what, sir, he came over to me. I was like, it's all right, man, don't worry. You win some, you lose some. You know how it is. It was like, sir, they should have just left me to it. You know, if they left me to it, I would have had them. If they would have left me to it, I would have had them. And what he was essentially saying is, if I did that on my own,
I would have won.
I would have won.
Yeah.
And that's the trick with like, wait a second, are you not understanding what's going on?
You don't understand
And
physics.
it's the same as like what you're saying. Like some people, they do get into their own head and think that that's all that matters.
Yeah,
And
mate.
that's that grandiosity.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
it's- that's
But
what
again,
it is.
this is the probably the magician trying to remind me that again, it's not that people are selfish all the time. Some are selfish bastards.
Yeah.
It's they're not even necessarily aware that they're doing it.
Yes.
That's the other thing. And it's like, you've got to remember people are dumb. I know it's a horrible thing to walk around thinking, but it's better to walk around thinking, remember people are dumb, remember people are dumb.
You're preparing
People-
yourself
I'm
psychologically
literally,
for when it
so that I
arrives.
don't punch people and don't
Yeah.
get so annoyed, because it's like, it's not them out to get you, it's not a personal
Yeah.
thing, it's just...
That's just who they are at the
can't
moment.
compute all the stuff.
That's
Like
where
they're,
they are at the
you know,
moment.
they're driving along a road and all they can think is, don't hit anything, don't hit anything. They don't think, oh, I'll let you go because that makes more sense.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and I'm
It's
just like, how are these people? But people are dumb.
Yeah, it's an awareness of like that people are at different levels, and I think once you get to a certain proficiency in something, you forget what it was like to be on day one, and sometimes your day one is light years ahead of where they are currently.
Yeah.
So like if you're a person that leads with the magician, or you're a person that picks things up very quickly, or you would get put into the talented category,
Yeah.
it's very hard sometimes to empathize with somebody who just doesn't have the toolkit that you were naturally born with.
Yeah.
It becomes quite hard because you're like, I was better than you on my first day.
Yeah.
And how are you worse than where I am on my first day? It's like, well, that person isn't you. That
Yeah.
person is them, and they're somewhere completely different to where you are. Sometimes it's hard.
And some people don't have they could work at it their whole entire life and they still never get to where you were on day one. And again, it's that kind of realization that I do kind of struggle with. But anyway, going back to the video games.
Yeah.
Right, so we're going back to the video games.
Oh yeah.
And we're talking about vision, right?
Yeah.
And we were saying about real world.
Yeah.
You see these visions and they're all, ticked off and you think, well, there's no way I'm going to do that as good as them.
Yeah.
Or there's no way little old me, let's say, oh, dumb me, or this me. Like, everyone has the insecurities
Their own
plus
wound.
their own,
Yeah.
me, the brr. So you retreat into video games, right? So what got you out of what made you realise, like, shit, man, as much as I love it, as much as it's satiating these parts of my character, it's simulated. It's not real.
I think there was a part of me that always knew.
Okay.
I always knew, hey, this isn't good for me. Like long term, this isn't good.
What
for
was
me.
it? Because literally, like, rewind the tape 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
You're going, this was great. I love this. I love that. I love the rest of it. There's a smile on your face,
Oh yeah.
but it wasn't good for you.
All the energy that I put into that game sapped all the energy of all the other things in my life outside of that game. So the 16-hour gaming sessions, if I'm being completely honest, they were what was sapping my life, hurting my relationship tremendously. Relationship was on the ropes.
With the missus.
Yeah, with the partner, work, just barely hanging on. It was like I did the bare minimum to get by in the real world.
Just so you could game.
So I could get right fucking back. So I could get right back. And people think because it's not a physical thing, I'm not snorting coke, I'm not shooting up heroin, I'm not smoking weed, I'm not drinking alcohol, that it's not a problem, but it's all to do with how you relate to it psychologically on your mind. Right. You can completely get addicted to something. It was giving me that dopamine fix, that all the highs that I seeked on the outer world, I was getting them inside there. I was getting...
And that's the thing, because everyone has their place where their box gets ticked, don't they?
Yeah. All my boxes were getting ticked. I was learning new things. I was being able to teach.
Yeah.
Things.
That's the magician.
Oh, you always setups, macros, keybinds, how to PvP. I was teaching everyone everything. Yeah. I would have great enjoyment. The social aspect of it, I'd be able to lead because I got into essentially leading.
We'll come back to that, carry on,
So that's the king, and generating my vision, which was to build a guild that was successful in PvPing and PvEing, and so all the moving parts and bringing all the people in and training them up, being a generative king. That was my vision inside the game. I knew that that's kind of where I wanted to be outside of the game as well.
Yeah.
I just couldn't see it. I had vision in the game, but I didn't have vision in the real world.
What couldn't you see in the real world?
I couldn't see...
Because the thing is, you're a smart fucking guy, right? And Absolutely. You're also someone who polishes their craft. Straight away, like in the workouts, for example, if you can't do a good press up, you'll mod down, and you will do a good modded down press up.
Yeah.
You won't continue to do a poor press up, because that to you is not a press up.
It's not.
Yeah. And so I know the way you approach things, and so for me, I'm like, well, you've got the ability, you've got the capabilities, you've got this, and this, and this, and this. So what actually stopped you?
I would say the inflation of my magician. I was introverted.
Okay.
I was insecure, and I lacked the ability to do.
You were doing.
I was doing.
But not outside.
I would grind harder than anybody on that game.
Okay, so you didn't lack the ability to do. You lacked it to do in the place where you wanted to.
Yes,
do. So
I did.
What was again? Is that?
It was because
cowardice, maybe.
I just didn't want to do it.
Why?
It was work that was boring. It wasn't entertainment. It wasn't going. And maybe there's a part of it that wasn't fueling my vision inside the game, as well.
Okay, so doing it outside would detract from this, and you put so much energy and effort into this already.
I think because I was getting kind of getting the social acceptance, the elevation, and kind of where I wanted to be in there, starting all over again. Was deterring me. Yeah. And also, I'd have to deal with people face to face, and I was highly introverted. A lot of people don't think that I'm an introvert. Yeah. I'm an introvert. When I'm at home, I'm naturally more quiet than like here now talking, for example. And so
very quiet.
This is as loud as I go, guys. This is as loud as I go. So I think that was it. It was a combination of different things. What I was getting in there was making me content. I was content with where I was.
You were, but the people around you...
But my partner, my family, things were falling apart. And that's kind of where the clutch of the addict is. Yeah. Because it becomes selfish. It went from a we to a me. What can I get from it? So once developing those skills in there was great. Do you know what I mean?
How did you stop doing the gaming as much then? What was the actual thing, the day, the thought, the argument? What was it that made you go, nah, do you know what? Enough's enough. Let's put this down and leave it be.
I think it was like just taking a look at my relationship. How things were going. And taking an honest look at where I was in my life, and feeling like there was certain things that I was squandering.
Okay.
With regards to potential.
So you noticed potential in you, and that you were kind of grateful for that you had it, and then you're disappointed in yourself that you weren't following through.
Yeah, because even though I was working, as I was transitioning out and battling against my addiction with the games, I was also trying to work on myself. Of paramount importance to me was always trying to be a decent person. Okay. That's always, no matter where I am and what I'm doing, I'm always going to try to be a decent person. And that will go back to trying to be a generative man. No matter how dysfunctional I was or what I was trying to do, my aim was always up. That was the North Star, as it was.
Road to hell, paved with good intentions.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, I'm the same. I'm like, I know,
Yeah. So as I was kind of detaching from that and kind of seeing that, hey, this isn't giving me, it's giving me what I want in the game, but it's not giving me what I want in reality. Yeah. How can I now...
So your vision kind of was distorted.
Yeah. I realised, like, wait a second.
This is...
It can't be good over here and terrible over here. That's not right.
It's not the right way.
Good for both. So then that's when I started dedicating myself to levelling up in the real world. And that's where I kind of started to try and gamify things outside here. Because
that was just about my question. How did you do that? Because what I'm trying to lead you to, because I've never been a gamer, right? I've got other addictions and this and the other. But talking about a vision, I've always had a real world vision. Yeah. And I've actually, and we discussed this the other day, and we can do this in another video, about actually it was every time I was ill in hospital and I'm battling not to die, I thought it was my warrior, but it was because my king had such a strong vision of why I was staying alive.
And that gave your warriors a reason
to fight. Exactly.
They had the duty to the king.
And the magician was right. Well, if we're going to fucking fight, we need to fight smart because we haven't got a lot of resources to do these things. Yes. And then my lover's just, boys, can't we just fuck? It's like, no, we've got a job to do. Fine.
In the backseat.
Yeah, like my warrior definitely had to take over, and my lover is like, waiting now.
And you find these battles inside. Sorry, carry on.
So what I was going to say to you was, like, for me, my king had that real strong vision, right? So then you started to level up in the real world, and to do that, you gamified shit.
Yeah.
Talk me through that then.
So I looked at gamifying shit, and I seen myself so this is how I see myself in my head when I kind of really concretized the realization that I was doing good over here and not great at all over here. I'd visualize myself in full epic gear, which is epic, it's pretty good stuff, with all the weapons and all the bells and whistles and gems and all that. And over here, I'm just in the starting area, and I've barely got away from the first quest or whatnot. I'm still in the starting area. So I read the book King Warrior Magician Lover when I was about 22? Maybe 22. So by the time I realised this, I was maybe 27 or 28 when I was transitioning away. So I was in this for quite some time.
I'm going to say, oftentimes you have the seed planted, you've read the book, you've had the course, you know the thing. Mm-hmm. Implementing the thing you know.
Knowing it is not good enough. Yeah. And this is one thing that I've learned in life. Knowing it is not good enough. You can know how to eat clean food. If you don't put any of it in your face, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can know you should go to bed at such a time. Yeah. Actually going to bed.
It's a humbling experience. So what I ended up doing was I started applying things that I saw, skills that I would see. I'd watch a lot of videos of like productivity videos and how to do things. And then I would kind of locate them inside the psyche. So I could put it in a mythological frame. So if it's like 3 tips on how to build focus. Okay. On how to build drive and aggression. Okay, maybe do this, this, and this. Well, I'll put that in the warrior quarter. And so then I can turn it into a game in my mind. So it's not just me doing this thing, whether it's washing the dishes, something you don't want to do but you know needs to be done. It could be something, a small thing like, I hate washing the bloody dishes. I can't stand the dishes. But like, if you see it in your mind and you frame it like that, like it's a task, it's a dragon to be slain on the battlefield, it makes it easier for me to conceptualize it. It's like, well, if I can do it in the game, why can't I do it out here? And that's what kind of bridged the gap for me, rather than being like, oh, the dishes need to be done. It's like, no, that dragon needs to be slain. Go get your fucking sword. Right. Charge out onto the battlefield and get it done. And for me, as a person who leads with the lover and the magician, I just want to chill out. I just want to eat some biscuits and play some games and have a laugh and have a talk of philosophies and ideas. Like, can't we just talk about ideas? That's amazing. And what about this? And that'll be awesome. What about that? So for me to generate that warrior energy, I have to consciously put myself into the warrior mentality. And the best way I found to do that was to mythologize it. Right. I have to get a psychological sword and go, okay, I'm going to be swinging this motherfucker. The dishes in the sink, no, not dishes, that's a big fat dragon, because there's a big chunk of me that doesn't want to go into the cave and deal with him. There's a big chunk of me, I don't want to go down there and do that. Now, you might not think... I'm going to
say, because to me, doing the dishes has never even, been a thing that I would have to, to you, that it's a dragon you have to slay is very interesting, because my dragons are completely different. Yeah. But... goes back to earlier on, like you say, people are at different levels and different things. That's a battle for you that you legit have to fight.
And it's cool because I naturally, if locating whether you naturally run high or low and something, all you've got to do is find out what the younger you were. So if you're like, I feel pretty balanced in my warrior, in my ability to do things. Well, what was you like at 14? Because you had big anger problems. You were fighting everybody. I was a coward. And I didn't want to do nothing, and all I wanted to do was chill out and hug everybody.
I was say, so when I was 14, I was also doing loads of stuff.
And I wasn't doing
You know what I mean? I was out and about at the weekends, I was working, as well. I was like, I started teaching drums by that point. Like 14, 15, I started teaching drums as well. I was also, this is one of the things that I think I'm very, very, very fortunate to have A, been able to do, and B, continue to do. I've been very, very fortunate to be able to have drum lessons, a few drum lessons, but then actually play on a drum kit. I've always had, so this studio now, obviously, I've always created spaces, but going back to when I was a kid, even though my first drum kit, so I was in it's a tiny little light bulb, kind of crappy. Like this is so much more illumination. It's like a 5-watt light bulb in a unheated garage. It really was, and it was like asbestos garage. It was horrendous. So I'm there with this like absolute dog turd of a drum kit. But my parents allowed me the space. They gave me the space. And said, look, you know, you can do it. And then after a year of me doing it every day, I graduated to a much better kit and actually went into the warmth and light of the bedroom.
Yeah.
Wow, you know. But I had to actually show that I could do the thing and do the thing and do the thing. So I've, over the years, while I've not made regular music practice a thing, because obviously being ill and up and down all over the show, I have done it consistently, i.e. any time I've had the chance, I've got back on it and back on it and back on it. And so for me, that's been my kind of, I'm working at these skills. I don't see it as slaying a dragon, but in that sense of, like, this is the thing that I toil at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a good one thing that I do want to bring up, I developed a lot of my skills that I use in the outer world inside gaming. So like you're saying, going and doing the drums daily, I would do that with World of Warcraft arenas. I'd go into arenas, I'd go in there, we'd do 2v2, it's very high intense, you've got to line things up and you've got to do stuff. There's lots of moving parts that you've got to really be quick to react to, and you've got to really dig deep to get the wins. Well, every time I got my ass kicked, we'd go back to the drawing board between games and I'd go, okay, well, I did that wrong. That needs to be done over there. Maybe that will work. And then have the perseverance to, even after a loss, go back. So like I try.
Because that's what a lot of people struggle with in the real world.
Yes.
Not in games. In the games, but in the real world where there are actual consequences, where you can look silly and feel silly.
There are a lot of people that struggle with it in games as well. And a lot of people struggle with it in games. Yeah. So even though it's a game and you're not getting punched in the face, you're not actually getting hurt.
They still struggle just to get back up.
Struggle to have these traits, a huge amount of people. So like that's something that I realised that hey, not everybody has the ability to do this. So I kind of become the person who would grind the hardest. So I knew I was lacking warrior energy. So I developed my warrior energy inside the game.
But at what age did you start doing your martial arts stuff, boxing stuff and that?
19.
19. Okay, so you started developing that warrior energy actually quite a lot sooner.
Yes. So with the martial arts, there's something that like I don't think gets spoken about. You've got the skill, and you've got the mentality, the energy, the dog in you, the archetypal warrior.
The skill, but you never had the energy.
I was developing and refining the skill for the first good chunk.
For if ever this dude came online, you've got a present for him. Hey man, when you get angry and want to throw punches, I actually know how to throw a punch without breaking your fist.
I'll be right here. So I was developing the skills, and I knew deep down that I was a coward and I needed to do something about it. I didn't want to be that person forever, because I knew that how cowardly I was affected everything I did in life.
But the issue with being a coward is that you're too afraid to do something about it.
Yeah.
So what made you actually fucking act? Because what I'm trying to get to is a lot of people are online, a lot of people are gaming, and the way my mind goes, and this word of vision, this is where we're at today. People lack the vision, or they see someone else's vision and go, I can't attain that, right? Yeah. So then they just go into a game where it's kind of already laid out for you, kind of. You know, there's an objective, and you just fulfill that, and it's more achievable in that way.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, I only see that getting worse and worse as things get better and better in many senses. I think that's more and more of people are going to retreat down that avenue.
Yeah.
And it's about going, no, you're still a human being.
Yeah.
You're not a robot. You do have a body, a flesh and blood body that needs to go outside. It needs vitamin D. It needs these things. It can't subside on energy drinks and fucking, gaming, and that's the only light you get. It's just, you're going to destroy your being.
Yeah.
So how do we get out of that? How do you, as a coward, stop being a coward?
It's very hard. It's very hard because to do the thing, you need to essentially have a battle with the version of you that wants to stay inside. And if you've been doing that for a long time, the version of you that wants to stay inside is way bigger and stronger than the version that needs to go out there. So for me, being very aware of myself and my shortcomings, that kind of fuels that insecurity in you.
So the magician helps you out there.
But there's one thing that I guess I would say helped me was to become the master, you must first become the fool. And for me, it was going out there and messing up. I was always scared of failing, the humiliation that come with failing.
So an intentional fall.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not even like, oh, I need to go out there and do well, like, because that's what you're in. Oh, what if I do badly? Oh, I'm gonna look like a prat if I get beaten here, or I lose here. It's never the actual pain here physically.
Oh,
it's the psychological pain.
Yeah, because you can't play that pain over and over again, but you can play that pain over and over
you
again.
can get beaten at once, and you can beat yourself up 100
for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life. So for me, it was identifying where that psychological pain of the humiliation was, putting that to the side and going, hey, if you want to get good at something, you've got to be shit. And you've got to be willing to throw yourself into something and do it terribly. It might come out okay, but it might come out terribly. You've got to get in your mind that it's okay to do something terribly the first time you do it. What's not okay is to not go and do the damn thing. Not get onto the battlefield and do the damn thing. At least give it a go. You're not going to die. You're not going to, you messed up throwing that jab. Oh, look at that, you're dead. You don't die from failing at the thing.
Nowadays, consequences are so. Because, for example, public speaking is world over the most fear-inducing thing that a human can do.
It's one of my greatest fears as well, yeah.
And that gets tracked back to years ago when we lived as a tribe. If you were put in front of the tribe and kind of had to speak your piece, if people didn't like it, you get exiled, and that could mean your life, right? So you go, okay, cool. That's ingrained in us biologically. Makes sense.
That's a reason for anxiety back then.
Exactly. But now, there's so many threats that inside we feel viscerally. But this is what CBT is about. Compulsory, that's basic training. That's for a motorbike. Cognitive behavioural therapy. Compulsory basic training on a motorbike.
CBT.
Cognitive behavioural therapy. CBD's obviously saying what's that, cannabidiol? So the idea being that you kind of say to yourself, I know I feel this way, but there's no actual threat.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop you feeling it.
Yeah.
So you felt it and you decided, no.
In spite of the way I felt, you gotta get to a point where you realise, you detach and say, these are feelings. Like, you feel this way, but you are not your feelings. Just because you feel scared, it's a great way to separate from it as well, rather than saying I'm scared. You just say I feel scared, I'm here and I feel these emotions which are over here. You should, in spite of those, I'm going to go and I'm going to do the thing because I know that it needs to be done. And it's a very tricky battle.
So here's a good way of thinking about it as well, right? So let's take the word fear. Yeah, you can be surrounded by it, but it's kind of like a ghost. Yeah, it's kind of like wind. Yeah, like a cloud, like a fog, like a mist, whatever. It kind of gathers round you, right?
Yeah.
But when you start moving, it stays there.
Yeah.
The way through fear, or over fear, around fear, whatever you want to, take some action, do a thing. And
100%.
literally just that first step moves you slightly further away from fear. Now, this fog might be thick. It might be a few steps before you're kind of out of the worst of it. But the idea that, we get surrounded by fear literally comes and encroaches on us. Yeah. And the only way to get rid of it is to just move.
Staying in its vicinity hurts way more than walking through it.
Even though it's scary to walk through it because you can't see where you're going.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. And this is where, anxiety, part of me, comes in, which I would call a subcategory of fear. I call it.
It's fear of the future, isn't it?
There you go. Yeah. Fear of the future and the unknown. What's going to happen?
The another way. So this is what I used to do, right, with regards to that. So your thing was you decided, I'm a bit of a coward, I need to do something about it. Yeah. You had the magician to realise that this was the case, and you made a logical decision. Yeah. Would the king make that logical decision?
What's this? The decision.
Basically, the vision of, if I carry on like this, my future's going to be shit. Yeah, so I need to do something about this situation.
It would be the magician that's assessing it.
And the king
and
makes
then you
the
zoom
decision.
out. You zoom out to the grand scale of your life. If I stay here, it's still the magician being aware and making them decisions. If I stay here, this whole vision is not going to happen, and then you've got a decision to make.
See, that was my thing. It was that the inside world was all that was a dead cert. Dead cert, mate. Outside world, I might fall over, I might take the punch, I might this, I might that, I might get egg on my face, but the inside world is, you're 100%, this is happening, regardless of whether or not it doesn't matter how you act, behave, this and this and this, this is happening inside to you, and you get no say in that matter, you just get a say how you react to it, respond to it. So for me, it was nothing in the outside world is as scary as what's in the inside world. That was the dead cert. So again, you could kind of backwards logic it is like, well, if I move through the fog, I don't know where I'm going. It's really scary. I don't know. Good, but what do you know? If you stay here, end of, game over. Done. That's it. This is where you die if you move nowhere.
Yeah.
So at least approaching it like a game.
Yeah.
Even though, like you say, people are still scared of like dying in the game or making mistakes in the game. Was it because it's like is it because it's like a mark on the record of the game?
Oh yeah, you got a rating. So if you lose, you drop rating. If you go rating.
Ever since then, things like that, like the data being kept on all these things. Obviously, Instagram is data being kept. Yeah. And any of these things is kind of data. It's basically looking back and seeing what you did. And you basically just don't want to look back and go, that was so dumb or this or so that.
Even like things like socialising, teamwork, ability to work as a team, the ability to listen. All these fundamental things that you need out in the world, they're replicated inside the game. And so if you don't refine them inside the game, you ain't even got a chance of doing them out in the real world.
So doing it in the game can be beneficial.
For me, it was a bridge. It was a training ground.
Right.
It was a training
but it's
ground.
not end of.
No.
Okay.
It's like doing lots of pad work and getting really good at throwing punches, and then going and doing some light sparring, and now someone's punching you back. It's like that's the training ground, so you know how to block a punch, how to slip, and how to roll.
So you've kind of got the theory.
Yeah. You've got you're developing the raw skills, but the application now, like applying them into different.
And it's much scarier, obviously, because it's one thing on the pads where you're not going to get hit back, but it's much scarier than if you face another person who, if you get it slightly wrong, can hit you back, or even if you get it right, can hit you back.
Yeah.
So and they might be pulling their punches because it's sparring, and then you've got the actual real life situation where there's anger, there's violence, there's friends, there's weapons, there's all these other things involved.
In gaming, you have a control over the vast majority of what's going on. Inside the game, anything can happen, but you're still in your bedroom. You're still at a screen, and you know what I mean?
Kind of like the laws of physics have been dulled to the point where it's not actually going to hurt you.
Yeah. So it's
but people take it into their heads as...
It's a 10% of my reality is what the shift can be. I'm not going to, lose my concentration and drive my car off a cliff into a river. I'm in my bedroom. So like all the potentials of life in which terrible ways they could go.
Yeah, it's still not going to go.
They get shrunk down.
Yeah, so that's the thing then. So it's getting out of that world, but because this is what I've heard Chris Williamson talk about this, the idea that some guys could practice in like a VR world on how to talk to women and how to interact with women and how to, might not just be interacting with other guys, interacting with people on a friend basis, platonic basis, interacting a job interview, all these kind of things. The idea that going into that kind of the Oculus, put on the headset and you're in a practice kind of safe setting. And then you take those skills out into the real world, and you could kind of like on a game of variety sort of thing. You've got the easy mode, medium, or intermediate, and then the hard mode. And it's like you can put yourself into all these scenarios, so you could go, okay, so I'm much better. Like day game, for example, than I am going out in a nightclub or whatever. You go, do you know what? I'm 6'7", built like a brick shit house. I am dumb as fuck, but put me somewhere where I could just be intimidating, and the girls are going to come flocking. So everyone's got their domain.
Get me in a nice dark club where
literally, it's like you need to find your domain. Yeah. But again, I guess if you're scared of actually getting out there into the world, then you're never going to find your domain. So finding a vision that appeals to you. If you never actually do anything.
Yeah, it's great to have that segue, like you're saying about like not the Oculus. What did you say it was? The
Oculus headset, any kind of VR headset.
It's great to have that, as long as you're aware enough to know, hey, this is a building block.
That's the issue.
That I want to move on to.
Yeah,
and
that's the issue.
You don't start getting inflated about like, I'm awesome here. Have you seen my high school? I've chatted up so many girls
this is why I think, because again, you've got the sex bots coming along. Mate. You've got AI girlfriends. You can program it to be non-combative. You can program it to just roll over and say, yes, dear. It's... And I just think, again, you're going into really dangerous territory.
It's the opportunity to take away from the necessity for human beings to develop in a way that makes them able to deal with the rest of humanity.
So here's my question. Why the fuck should they? Because you had a wife and kids. Oh, sorry, a partner and kids. So you got a partner and kids, and he's still got them. But the idea being like that was some motivation right there. That was like, oh shit, you know what? If I don't fix this, I'm going to be like, I'm going to have to pay out a lot of money to her for this is. I'm going to be sat in a little one-bedroom flat, just me on my headset and just playing my games for the rest of the time. I can't have this. I need to change it. But let's say you've not got you know, a partner, you've not got a job, you've not got kids, you've not got those kind of the really big, like gravitating reasons to pull you out of that world.
What I would say is, just because you don't have it now, it doesn't mean that you can't get it. Number one, and number two is, if we put the standard, if we drop the standard so much to a point where it's like, hey, you don't have to do anything. If all people encompass that, then we basically have the end of humanity.
Yeah,
that's that humanity's finished. If we, and that's where, not that humanity's finished or anything like that, but you see that socially in certain aspects, that certain things get normalised, and then everybody takes a drop. You could see this about the provocative dressing of women is a good example for, in my mind, with how some ladies really push the boundaries with how they're dressing.
See, I love women. I love flesh. You know what I mean?
Too.
But at the same time, I'm like, girls, cover up, fuck's sake. There's a time and a place for it. Do you know what I mean?
If you're walking around in a red lace corset top, with your booby loop showing, just because you can, just because it's not against the law to do it,
doesn't mean it's good for anyone.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't mean it's good, and it doesn't mean that you're safe just because it's legal.
Yeah.
And it's weird how certain things getting set in those trends. It just, man.
So what you're saying is then, by lowering standards, by everyone gets a trophy and all these kind of things.
If you make the lowered standards the norm, everybody suffers.
Okay.
Everybody suffers.
So this is the issue then, because I think you've got the really unattainable at the top, and I saw someone out the other day, and they're in their fucking pajamas in the shop, and you go, have some dignity, have some self-respect. You're around other people right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I get it. It's like, okay, I've been ill before, and sometimes you think, I just need to pop out, and this is... But I would still put my best foot forward and still do a little bit of something just to show the outside world, look, man, I'm trying. I'm really struggling, but I'm trying. Yeah. Just so, you know, you don't have to look at me looking like this horrendous slob.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, polite, and some people go, oh, fuck manners, fuck polite, fuck this. No. It's called respect.
Yeah.
And when people show a lack of respect to everyone else and to themselves and this, that and the other, I think, let's take that person off the face. And I'll get annoyed.
He's ready to
you
go,
know what I mean? Oh, when you do it, give me the axe.
When I regress, that's how I get. I said, we should start thinning the ranks.
Yeah.
We should just start.
Thin her, mate.
I've had enough of these. And it happens.
But this is, so standards get so lowered then that then it's acceptable to just retreat into a video game. This is my issue. And it's going to be, to me, if you went, hey guys, meet my new girlfriend, it's a robot AI sex bot girlfriend thing. There's nothing more shameful in the world, basically. But you know it's going to become a brag soon. It's like, oh, you got the 7-gram model. Oh, I got the 9-gram model. Well, I got the model with upgraded arsehole. Well, I got the model with upgraded... Do you know what I mean? Like fucking, what is it? Like Coke squirts out of this tit, and I got fucking, Jack Daniels squirting out of this one.
That's terrifying.
No, but do you know what I'm saying? Because it will be a brag soon. Because these guys are just so in another world.
It's terrifying because it could become a possibility. It's not impossible. The way you're saying it, it's not impossible. That's why it's so scary.
And this is why I'm kind of like, well, look, if this podcast is to help young men and developing men develop more in this, and this, number one, don't go down the AI sex bot avenue. I say this, I'm going to have an AI girlfriend next year. but the idea being, it's like, look, okay, if you want to avoid, so you could argue, well, look, if I don't know, I haven't got any moves, I need to practice. Okay, fine, going back to you can develop skills in the game. You can develop skills in the game, right? But at the same time, if you then go, the game is satiating enough, the sex bot's satiating enough, I'm going to just live on the bridge. Or under the bridge, like a troll.
Yeah, like a troll.
Which is literally what will happen.
Yeah. That's where the trick is. The trick is, are you aware enough to know when you're falling in love with the simulation, the idea of... You're falling in love with the connection and the energy transfer that you're kind of getting.
Yeah.
And you stop climbing up the hill. You just go, you know what? Halfway up.
But here's the thing, why should they continue?
Halfway up's enough. Honestly, I think it all just comes back to humanity as a whole.
In what sense?
Like, it's not all about you.
Okay.
It's not all about you.
So realising it's a multiplayer game?
Yeah.
Even though I saw a thing on YouTube the other day saying, life is a single player game. And I thought about it. I didn't watch the video. I thought, no fucking ain't. Life's a multiplayer game.
Life is the biggest multiplayer game.
I can't remember what the word is, so I'm not even going to bother to try and say what it is, but there's an African word that means I am because we are. Or I am because you are. It's the idea of...
Was this Hoops Q?
I mean, I heard it previously from him saying it, but yeah. Ubuntu. It's something like that. Yeah.
I think it is.
It sounds like Bluetooth almost.
Bluetooth.
But yeah, I knew I butchered the word. But it's the idea that man, I can't be unless you are.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the idea that everything's connected. Again, you know, not just humans, but animals, trees, everything.
It all ties back into that framework. It can't be about you. And as soon as you make it about you, that's when you start becoming a drain on humanity.
So then, when you it's all about me looking inwards.
Yeah.
Is that a magician looking inwards? Who's looking inwards?
It depends on how you do it. If you think I'm the all-knowing and I'm surrounded by a bunch of idiots,
I am all-knowing and surrounded by fucking idiots.
That's the inflation of the magician.
Okay, so I have an inflated magician. How do I deflate this magician slightly?
Number one would be awareness of your own inadequacies.
Okay, I'm pretty damn inadequate in many ways.
And understanding that you don't know everything.
That is also true. I actually don't know everything.
So I think that's enough to go, okay, there we go. And just to understand that everyone occupies different rooms at different amounts, and depending on their environment, the family that were raised in, what school they went to, what culture they're a part of, what religion was surrounded by the family, that will all impact how that person grows. So if you can't take yourself out of where you are currently with your skill level and your knowledge and put yourself in the position of someone else who's in a completely different place, that's what will trip you up. The lack of ability to do that.
So that's that ability to sort of empathise with the other
Empathise,
person,
I would
walk a
say.
mile in my shoes.
Yeah. To really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, how can we for example, it's not all about us. Okay, cool. I need to think, and this is what we were saying last week about a good man. A good man is generative. A good man thinks about how do my actions affect those around me. So this is what I was saying with women. You know, like we had the conversation in the car this morning, mate. I'm only looking for a fucking quality one. Yeah. I'm only looking for one that has. They're almost a unicorn in many senses of the word, because not just has she got to be great, she's also got to think I'm great. So there's many women out there who I might think are great.
Yeah.
Like, she's cute enough, she's this enough and that enough and all the rest of it enough, but she's also got to think that about me.
That's the truth.
It's like, oh damn man, so I've got to be at like the top of my game. Yeah. Now that concept alone, thinking I've got to be the best me there is, fuck me, that's exhausting and that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
It's such a tall order.
And that's what I mean. So even for me, who is very much in this real world, very based in reality in my actions and my thoughts and everything, I watch YouTube, but that's really the only kind of exterior world coming in. Yeah. Everything else is me building or me doing, something. Yeah. And yet, even I think, fuck me, I'm exhausted just at the thought of doing that I need to build this kingdom. Yeah.
So,
and not only that, this is another thing. And then some bitch just gets to come in right at the end and reap all the fucking rewards. No, she's got to have built it with me. And this is the conversation we had the other week, wasn't it?
It's such a conundrum. It's a catch-22,
mate. And this is it. So
you can't be bitter about the fact that you've built yourself to a certain point and then you've invited someone in. If you've got those high standards, which I definitely think you do have, you have those high standards enough so where you've invited her in, then she's going to bring something. Without a question, at the shadow of a doubt, she's going to have to bring something, because if she wasn't going to bring something, you wouldn't have picked her.
Yeah, absolutely.
To bring her in. It's very hard, because if you, before you develop these skills or get to a certain place, you don't have the pull to get the kind of person you want, and then you get higher up through these ranks of making money and getting the body you want and generating the charisma and the ability to talk, and then you get this person. There's always that feeling in the back of your head, are you only with me because of the skills I developed, or are you with me for me?
For me,
and I think that's a question that will always be there. It's always going to be there. You can't escape it. You got to trust in the process and trust in your ability to pick a good, solid, right person.
I don't.
There we go.
My ability to pick someone, like, I pick people who are hot, I pick people who are cool, fun, cute, like lots of great qualities, but for long-term things.
What's your money management like?
Literally, like, to me, I don't know how to pick a good, healthy woman in that sense. And like I said to you last week, because I don't believe I'm a good, healthy man, then why would a good, healthy woman want to be with me? So anyone who's attracted to me, ergo, isn't a good, healthy woman. Yeah. So I get what you're saying, but actually, no, I don't necessarily trust my ability to pick a good, solid, long-term, healthy partner.
That puts you in a very difficult position. If you don't trust in your own judgment, well, that's enough to bring your magician
It's not necessarily that I
joking.
don't trust in my own judgments. Something I've been doing over the past couple of years is learning about healthy relationships, about attachment styles, about things that can be overcome and things that basically, if they're displaying this behaviour, run, like red flags and stuff like that. Not just in them, but in me as well.
In
so,
what it brings out of you.
No, just like shit. So, for example,
yourself.
people go, "Oh, mate, you're just a natural with the ladies." 100%. I am natural with the ladies because I'm just me. However, I have also naturally done the dumbest shit. I will watch things like, again, we've seen Dr. Ryan Teraband, all these different people go, never do this. Oh, fuck me, I've done it like 5 times. Because I'm just being me, not realising this is a really dumb thing.
Yeah.
But then other times, me just being me, it's because I'm just honest and straight. I don't, it's kind of like appears like I give 0 fucks. It's like, that's really attractive.
Yes.
Just being me, just being confident in existing, it's really attractive. Me cracking jokes that might be a bit, it's really attractive. Lots of these kind of things is me being naturally me, and so oftentimes I've just been baffled.
It's hard because there's so much dynamic that changes when you're single from when you're in a relationship as well. So the things that might seem attractive to an outsider for you because you're single and you do the thing as the single man. Well, now you're in a relationship and you've got to make sure you don't disrespect your woman who's at home or is in the room with you. You have to change how you do things, and it kind of has an effect on who you are. It's not that it's taking away from who you are. It's just now you've got to take someone else outside of yourself into consideration.
So that's always been my issue with relationship where I've been ill.
Yeah.
I then couldn't. Like that trumped everything. Like I'm literally right now. I need to just save my life. I need to stay alive. That trumps any of your feelings, anything that we had on the calendar, anything. Like it's just topped by that. Yeah, my ability to be needs to be there before I can even consider anyone and anything on top of that. Right. So again, that's where I come back to. So that would almost always destroy relationships. As soon as I was ill for the first time, properly ill, as in going into hospital, can't really function, do things properly. Game over.
That's such a tricky thing. That's a hard thing to battle with because you won't know whether the person is the type of person who's going to stick through the tough times until the tough times come. It's easy to say, oh yeah, thick and thin, all good, while you're redlining and you're 100% everything's okay.
Yeah, after you just fucked him into oblivion and they're like, oh, I'll stay with you forever. Really? Will you now? I swear, that was also another selfish angle of
contract
it.
signing. Oh, you just signed me.
But it is that idea of like, well, look, man, if I really make sure I'm giving him a good deal over here, maybe then over there, but that's just not how life works.
I think you can only really test what someone's about when you're in the lows, and it just doesn't matter.
Then you've got to open
say.
yourself up to getting the nut shot, haven't you?
Yeah,
really?
man.
Because you basically go, I'm at my lowest, I'm at my most vulnerable. You're laying there on the floor naked on your back, and she's got every opportunity and ability to just stomp on your bollocks right there. Scary, man. It's a horrible place to put yourself.
It's terrifying. I can imagine. Yeah, it's terrifying. I can imagine that it's definitely something that would deter from. Like, do I want to waste all my time going through this to find out that when I'm down here, that you piss off at the first opportunity?
It could take a year, 2, 3 years. At least before, when I was ill, I was more often frequently ill. Now, I'm still ill in many ways, but not like I used to be. So I could almost, and this is going to sound like the wrong word, fool a woman into believing I'm perfectly healthy. I never would, and I'd never lie, but in that sense of, unless I actually explicitly said, FYI, this has been my health history, and this... They'd never guess. They'd never know. They might go, what's that scar from there? It's like, but really, it's. I'll just say some crazy guy stabbed me twice. Wow, it's like the crazy guy was me, but it's, so it's that kind of an idea that. To me, as I say, anyone who kind of comes near me must be a bit nuts. But I've attracted so many different people over the years. So it's difficult for me to then go, I've attracted you because you see this in me. And I'm attracted to you because I see that in you. But actually, what is healthy, I don't know. Because never been healthy.
Oh, man. I think it's hard to separate the feelings, like, especially visually and physically. What you get on the surface.
Well, funny, I was literally just thinking, so my vision for how my relationship and my future should look in that way is very stunted.
It's so hard because you can't kid the way that you feel when you see someone who you think is beautiful and charming and they've got all these things and they're just, you know what I mean? And you're just flooding off from you like, yeah, that's the one for me. That's the person for me. You don't know what they're like when they're 15 drinks in. You don't know what they're like when they've ran out of cocaine. you don't know any of these things, and I'll call it the golden projection. It's when, well, it's known as the golden shadow projection. So the golden projection. When you're in that moment, when you see that thing that you want, automatically you see two jigsaw pieces. I'll call it jigsaw pieces, and then you just assume you turn all of the rest of the jigsaw pieces gold. You turn them all gold. You go, this person is perfect. This is exactly it. It's the ability to see two gold pieces and go, wow, they're two nice pieces. I wonder what all the other pieces are. I wonder what that piece over there is like. I wonder what that piece down there is like. Rather than going, this can work. Oh yeah, but
there's also balance on that, because then if you, for example, I think this is like the kind of the ick, right? It's like, do you know what? They sneeze funny, and because they sneeze funny, I can't be with them. Or do you know what? Every time they just stand up, and every time I'm like, you're just talking about how someone stands up, and that gives you the ick, and so you can analyse too much.
Yeah, that's deconstructionism. That's the problem of the magician, where you can pick apart anything until it's nothing, until a point where you don't even say anything, because you end up picking apart your own arguments before you say them. Everything gets just picked, dissected into pieces, and with that you can build nothing. It's the opposite of the king's
So again,
building.
I guess that over-analysing kind of stuff, I think there's a lot of people there. Actually, funny enough, I saw this brief, I think it was a YouTube short, and it's like 4 dudes, I think they're Chinese guys, and it's about them playing the tape forward. So why should the alarm goes off? Well, why should we bother getting up? Well, we're only gonna this is gonna happen, and then that'll happen, and it's like, and then we're only gonna die alone anyway. So you might as well just stay in bed. And if you go through the whole dialogue with everyone saying why bother, because, and it doesn't not make sense. It makes absolute sense. You go, why the fuck?
Yeah. That's nihilism, isn't it? That's kind of like the end stage of the magician gone and run amok.
But nihilism is more and more where the world is going. We're getting more and more introverted in terms of we're like, for example, selfie cameras, the forward-facing camera. We're when I say introverted in that way, I mean as in we're just looking at ourselves. So people call it narcissistic, but the idea we're just going around this feedback loop of us, me.
Yeah. So I would argue that that's the opposite of nihilism, narcissism.
Narcissism,
and that's inflation as a king.
Okay.
Yeah. So nihilism would be nothing means anything. What's the point in
all
these?
So not even I. Yes. Nothing means anything, not even
What's
I.
the point in me being here? I could jump off the cliff tomorrow, no one's going to notice. Nothing matters. And then you've got narcissism, which is
I'm the most important thing ever.
I'm the centre of the universe.
Gotcha, right.
I'm the centre of the universe. And I would argue that narcissism seems to be, that's one of the things that I talk about that kind of is something that was kind of distasteful, and now it's starting to kind of become the norm. The amount of people I see walking down the road with phones, doing pulling these silly, stupid faces, man, and like dancing to themselves. And hey, I understand, like, you want to do performative things, that's cool, but there's a time and a place.
I was just about to say, this is the shared space right now, guys. You know what I mean? This is we're all trying to get on with our day. Yeah. You know, like Louis C.K. does this great one. He's like, I was on the, he doesn't call it the tube, but the subway in New York. He's like, but we, in London with the tube. I was on the tube the other day, and out of nowhere I just heard this. Like, what the hell? This is a crazy person. Like that. I'm like, where's this crazy person? And I see it's some young, artsy-looking girl, and she's and she's practicing her morning exercise. It's like, look at me, New York, I'm going to Juilliard. Yes, me, nurse who's just got off a night shift. Me. So,
no one wants to hear.
No one wants to exactly shut the fuck up. Respect other people.
No one wants to hear your shit. And that's it. Like, hey, we love that you love to do something, but that doesn't mean that it comes at the expense of everybody else in the room. And that's the tyrant and the slave thing. Like, hey, I'm the queen here. I say what goes, so I'm going to do my vocal practicing in front of 200 people on the train, and you know what? They should pay me for the performance.
Like you're doing all of them a favour.
And everybody knows one. I could name 3 people that I know in my family right now who will turn up and talk your ears off for 45 minutes and act like they've just done a performance, like a high-end performance, like, hey, you know what I mean, I'll let you off family rates, I won't charge you for that. It's like, no, what you're saying is mostly dribble for starters. You know, you're not actually saying anything, but if you really kid yourself into thinking you're that amazing, then it doesn't really matter what you do, you think it's made of gold. You know, you think it's made of gold.
Oh, well, see, again, that's the sort of thing when there's those people out there who have such a high belief in themselves, and you get these other people who go, well, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, and so this is what I see these sort of young men seeming more and more downtrodden. And it is the element of, well, I saw it the other day, literally just out here, there's probably, I don't know, 20, 30 lads. Again, I'm just going to say juveniles. They could be anywhere between 16 and 25, I guess. All either quad bikes, you know, scooters, any kind. That's great, exactly that. Some of the electric, some of the whatever. And then all the way down the road and that. Yeah. It's like, yeah, man, because this is now, they're kind of taking that frustration and they're kind of trying to put it out in games. Yeah. But then, you know, it's coming out in real life. Like, these guys have got more warrior than magician. Yes. So rather than going down I'm just going to sit indoors, they're banding together and they're starting to roam in gangs.
Yeah, I think the gamers, especially the ones that don't go out, I would say they're the modern day magicians. Yeah. The uninitiated magicians, and the roadmen are definitely the uninitiated warriors. Yeah. And they're all looking for something. They're looking to belong. They're looking for connection. They're looking for belonging, and they're looking for purpose/meaning.
So how do we do that? That's the thing.
Man, they need.
Because if people had more purpose and meaning out in the real world, they'd find like a vision would be easier to come by. Yeah. Yeah. And then they'd also find that like the king has the vision, so it would give the warrior that this is what we need to fight for. But it would also give the magician the reason to go, hold on a minute, but we don't fight for this, and we don't want to fight unnecessarily. Yeah. Because then it means we can't fight at all.
Yeah. I think we need male initiation. A real proper male initiation. And this is what I want to do with the stronghold. It's all your life, man. But
we used to call it beats.
So I see that as like pseudo-initiations was talking about. It's kind of the rites of passage for your development from a boy to a man. That if you don't get it in your life, you will naturally go and seek it out subconsciously for a group to belong. This could be a church. This could be a church. This could be on the street. And, you know, the ritual outer is the top shotter, the drug dealer that makes the most money and has the biggest chain. That's the ritual outer, and you kind of get brought into that. Usually there's certain things you may have to do, i.e. Gangbangers over in America, certain gangs, you've got to commit a murder.
Yeah, blood in, blood out,
You've got to sacrifice.
That's been the creed for, since humans have existed, really, blood in, blood out. You show you're dedicated by taking a life.
100%, and that's their version of initiation. Now, it's not right, and it's greatly damaging, but these are the things that men will do if they don't find a place to belong.
You say it's not right, okay, and I'm not saying it's right, okay, but I would much rather have someone on my team who has killed a person, i.e. is capable of and who's done it, right, than someone who has never been on the battlefield at all. So again, UK is not right, but what it actually is it's hardened that person to be able to do certain things in this next level of life. Yeah. So applied correctly, that idea could be healthy and beneficial, but just to go out committing random murders, that's not right. But as I say,
understand where you're coming from.
The ability to do that, it's like, fuck, man. Do you know what? That guy's solid. Yeah. He didn't turn his back. He actually bludgeoned that guy to death, like 30, 40 blows. That must have been horrible. You know, he's a solid dude. He's probably going to have nightmares for the rest of his life. Like, that's a dude you want on your side.
So for me, I think that's your active side of the warrior speaking there. You're upplaying the benefits of the warrior, of the ability to commit violence, but what you're not emphasising is the fact that he had to sacrifice his lover to do that. He had to kill another man. He had to take another life of another person who may or may not have been innocent to do that thing. So if you see the lover down here and you don't really value the lover stuff, let's say, for example, let's say I make an argument, you don't really value the lover stuff, but I value warrior stuff a lot. So even though it wasn't great, and you know that it wasn't great, you still exhibited a lot of raw warrior energy, and I could have that on my warrior team. Right. So it's usually with pseudo initiations, you are getting something, but it comes at the cost of something else, and sometimes the cost is so great that it will take years, decades. That person may die never healing the part of themselves that they lost.
So it's funny because I said to you the other week, didn't I? I think my warrior has been stabbed so deep it killed my lover. Yeah. And so the idea that my lover now has been so crushed in many ways. Yeah. So actually, I'm just all warrior all the time.
Yeah. And that statement, what you said, it spoke to that 100%. Yeah. And it's not the fact that you would go out and do these things or you would champion it. Yeah, you killed a guy, but like. You were easier able to see the benefit of it
of that guy
than what it was doing to the lover.
Yeah,
and that's just because you occupy more of the warrior space.
Yeah,
and so, depending on where you're lined up, you gravitate towards certain pseudo initiations because there's parts of you that can justify it.
Yeah, gotcha.
You know, if you're part of performing arts class and you're dancing and we're part of the hippies.
I also
Then,
am a proper hippie and love
yeah, you do.
That's the weird thing about me. I'm the most hippie person I know.
If you go to those guys, the bunch of pacifists, and you tell them about your gang initiation, what you had to
they'll
do,
be horrified, mate.
they'll be absolutely
Never
horrified.
speak to you. Yeah.
But then the all-accepting lover parts
Yeah.
of their initiation, they won't be able to see the bad stuff in their lover initiation.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Which means you have to sacrifice your warrior. Yeah, we don't hurt people, dude.
Yeah.
We're pacifists. We don't touch people. This and that. Well, what if someone's coming to kill your kids?
Exactly. Yeah.
What
yeah,
then?
Yeah.
You have to sacrifice a part of yourself.
Hey, what if they're going to take your weed?
Yeah.
Tooth and nail, mate. Tooth and nail.
Not my way.
Never more. So, okay. So, the idea then is we need to get out into the real world.
Yeah.
But we need a balanced being to be this.
100%. The only way that we really can help the younger men of our society is we need to get a connection between the younger men and the older men. The men that have been here longer and have been through the struggles, the battles, the trials, the tribulations that these men are currently going through or are yet to go through to become men. So they can tell them, hey, don't step there. That floor's fake and you're going to fall straight through it and it's going to take you 15 years to fucking climb out of it, mate. See that there? If you're lined up this way, then you can go over there. But if you're lined up that way, stay well away from there. It's like, if you're low on confidence, you can push warrior into somebody, but you don't want to tell a guy who's running high on warrior and king energy, don't you take no shit from fucking nobody.
Go.
He won't take shit anyway, and you're going to push him over.
He's reminding of that.
He's going to push him over into the bully.
Yeah,
He said, don't take no shit. You said something I didn't like. Bam.
Yeah.
It's having the awareness to know which room these young men are occupying and be able to guide them in that way, and to be able to get that experience of knowing where someone is. You've got to have lived life. We have to get connection between the older and younger men.
Can you have a vision if you've never experienced anything?
Oh yeah,
you can. Okay,
I think so. I think what your experiences have can fuel your vision.
Okay.
And a lot of people's visions are fueled off of their past experiences, 100%. Maybe more experiences may clearly define your vision.
I was going to say, potentially your vision, if you've not had any experiences, is a very juvenile.
Yes.
Like the idea that, I think it's all fantasy. I think it's all, butterflies and rainbows. It's all going to be wonderful. And then you go, yeah, you're just naive, mate.
Yeah.
Like, that hot girl over there, you look at her, she's all hot, but they're fake, that's fake, that's, like the actual reality and your idea are two very different things.
Yeah.
And so then, as you age, you get a more clear vision and a more realistic vision, potentially.
Yes, because a lot of visions that you have, think about all the little visions that we had when we were growing up, the dreams that we wanted to do. I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that. And then as you grow and you experience things, they come in and they either re-emphasize the reason for the vision, or they chop that thing in half. Like, I want to be a footballer. That's every 6-year-old.
Says every
6-year-old wants to be a footballer.
Yeah.
Now, certain kids.
YouTubers.
Yeah, everyone wants to be an influencer. Now, once you get up and you get a more experience, maybe you go and meet one. Maybe you go and see what happens behind the scenes. Maybe you see the negative effects of what some influencers do. Maybe you see how much fucking work needs to go into
I think that's
yourself.
the big thing. People don't realise the work that goes into the stuff.
Yeah, once you get that experience and that understanding, you can then, that's knowledge, then you can either change it, tweak it, or put it in the bin and then there's the chance for a new vision.
I was just about to say, then you scrap that vision. Yeah. It's kind of like drawing a thing. You go,
yeah, but speaking of the king and the magician being in opposites, if you're full of dread and fear and terror and nihilism being the one,
okay.
So
you basically analyse it to the nth degree and just go, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, there is no need for a vision.
So does the king have to be slightly naive in some respects to actually have the fucking vision in the first place?
I think that naive optimism will create a vision. It has the chance to create a really strong vision in that person's mind. Whether that vision will actually be able to play out in reality is here nor there. Because he's not got the ability to see what's going on. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna feed all the starving kids in Africa. All right, so how are we gonna do that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna take food over, and where's that food gonna come from?
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. I just wanted to feed all the kids.
Do you know what's funny? Is I watched the thing about WeWork the other day, the WeWork cult, and it was like this big, long 2.5 hour thing. And the guy, I can't remember his name, but the guy who created that was very much basically, I've got this grand vision, this super grand vision of basically, you know, do you remember that Seal song? And it said, I want to shoe the children with no shoes on their feet, fly like an eagle, years ago. I used to think it said, I'm going to shoot the children. I'm going to shoot. Poor fucking children, they've got no shoes. Why do you want to shoot them? The little. Oh, you want to shoot the children. And literally, this guy was like, I'm going to save all the children. I'm going to save all the homeless. I'm going to feed the starving. You know. And how? That was as far as he got.
That's the inflation of the king.
Right. So he had an inflated king, but no magician.
Got all the visions.
No idea how to do it.
So what? You got no warrior and you got no magician because you haven't.
He had warrior though. He would go out there.
Oh, he'd go out there
and he would like do the thing.
With what?
But he had no magician. He had no ability.
That's actually a valid point. Yeah,
like he had no awareness of himself, of anything else. It was just generate money, generate money, generate money, generate money. That was his warrior. He was up and he was at it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it wasn't like a warrior in terms of like going around twatting cunts, but it was
that's still warrior energy.
He's that. He's so driven. So he had this huge vision, but nothing to back it up.
Yeah, his boots weren't on the ground.
So the vision's one thing, but it has to start with a vision, right? You can't take any action without a vision, or can you?
No.
Okay, so you have to have the vision first.
1,000%, you need to have a vision of how your world is going to be built.
Okay.
If you want to have a team or create a band, or you want to build something, you need to have a vision. Like, what's it going to be like? What the blueprint's going to look like? How are we going to do this? All right, let's get information. Well, we can't build that castle because that's a river right there, mate. Like, you can't build it on water. That's the magician coming in, and then you tweak. But yeah, the start, I would say, is the king. So the king has the vision at the start. Yeah.
Magician needs to come online as essentially like a consultant. It's like, well, look, if this is how you want to, if this is what you want to do, this is how we're going to do it.
Yes.
And then you need your warriors, because they're the guys who are actually going to go and do the fucking lifting.
They're
going to
do the thing.
Yeah, they're going to chop down the trees. They're going to, lift the bricks and build the thing. Mm-hmm. And in where does the lover come into it? What's the point of this lover?
The lover comes in because your vision should be generative to all. It should
so because you love humanity and sex and food and warmth and running water and all these things.
It should be a place where all things can thrive.
Okay.
And if your vision is being pursued and executed, you're gonna get that feeling from it that you're on the right path. That good feeling. Do you know what I mean?
Sorry, go on.
And it should be based in the love for others. Because if your vision is just about you, it will genuinely be consumptive about everybody else. I'm on the block.
Build you up to take everyone else.
I'm going to sell crack to everybody.
Yeah.
Jenny down the road, mother of 3. Fuck them kids.
Yeah. I'm going to take all of her income that she gets to pay for them kids, and that's going to come to you. So that I can build my empire.
Yes, the lover's the one that's usually left behind. Men are all on task orientated. Right, I've got to get my king on. Got to get my warrior on. Got to be my thinker. The lover, don't worry about the lover.
I'll take care of him later, sort of thing, because he's chilled out and laid back.
The lover is it's very important because that's where humanity lies. And if you detach from that lover, you detach from your connection from other humans, and that's when things go downwards. All of you guys can die and starve as long as I'm doing okay.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. But I am literally like, fuck everyone else. Okay, so here's my question, and this is what we're going to finish with, because I'm dying for a wee. We started this is the Shaman show. This is our second episode. What is your vision? So before you even met me, before we even started to discuss this is an actionable thing. So my magician said to you, I know how to make this sort of thing happen. But what was your vision? What was your intention? It was about teaching. It was about healing, helping.
Yes.
But what did you envisage on this journey when you started however many years ago?
So my vision started when I was very, very, very young. Very young, and my vision was always to help people. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know who I was going to help, but I had this deep connection to all things and all people. That's what I felt in my soul. I never thought of myself as intellectually gifted. I never thought of myself as physically gifted, but I did think of myself as emotionally gifted with regards to connection to other people. So I guess that would be considered, for me as a young person, that was the superpower that I kind of hung my hat on, and that would be the core of the lover. So Was a question to ask about my vision?
What's your vision? So obviously we started the Shaman show
Yeah.
to get you to your vision. So I
Yeah.
remember the stronghold was a word that
Yes.
I remember, and you wanted to help people in the development of being a man.
Yeah.
Basically.
So yeah, I went through various different things: sports therapy. I wanted to go into personal training. On all avenues of life, it was essentially to help people. But it's narrowed down and it's refined itself to seeing where things are in society right now, and who really are, in my opinion, really needs it. Because, and it's men, it's young men, and so that's where I'm gearing all of my energy, and that's where my vision is narrowing in its focus on. So I'm in the process of developing the framework for this vision.
And it's based on the warrior, magician, king, lover.
Yes.
Kind of framework.
Yeah.
And you, as not a storyteller, but the lens you look through is a much more of a mythological lens.
Yeah, it's a mythological lens, and that's a lens that lends itself to gaming so well, because gaming seems to it's
a lot of it's kind of a bit of a fantasy kind of world. It's not real.
Yes, and in all my time of like helping people and listening and trying to guide and do all these things, I always found that the analogies that I used that hit home for me the hardest were almost like medieval analogies, and when I presented them to young men, they got it. They got it.
Well, they do say men, they just love the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
But no, funnily enough, I think, literally, when you do think, I mean, imagine being a gladiator. Imagine having a sword, by your hip, and at any given point, you could be fighting for your life. But, I mean, that's just not that's a crazy thought. No, that was our history.
Yeah.
Our ancestors did that shit and more. So we've all come down the lines of people who have been pretty sturdy in some way, shape, or form.
They're not that far behind us.
Yeah.
We think that it's like, a million light years away, and it's like, nah, you look at it, you're like, oh my God, this is like 15, 20 generations. It's not that far to go 300-400 years back, to go back to times where we wasn't driving around in cars, and
everything's so convenient now.
You know what I mean? It's so convenient. We think that like we're light years ahead, and it's not.
So biologically speaking, we are still these caveman type of people.
100%. How we develop psychologically, and there's certain things that are being missed. There's certain things that are being missed that the version of us 400, 1,000 years ago, they would have had. They may not have had fancy shoes. They may not have had Ferraris, but they had these things, and they are missing.
So they've been removed from society.
Yes.
Your vision is to put them back into society.
Yes.
We'll talk about what they are and how we can do that another time. But just to finish off with, what kind of society, when you help these young men in the way that you're going to do it, what kind of society is that going to be as a result? In your mind, in your vision?
It's going to be a strong generative society.
Strong. So
So
if you would like a strong generative society, like and subscribe and all that shit.
Take it easy, guys.
See you next time.
Fizzle.